Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rebel Chomp channel. Today we have an interesting versus video. We have an Ultrasaber saber versus a Saberforge saber. Now this versus video is a little bit different than you're normally used to. This versus video is not about the actual hilt or what's inside the hilt. It's more about the philosophy of the said companies. Now Ultrasabers and Saberforge both advertise their sabers as heavy dual graded sabers for full contact sabering. And I think they're absolutely right. In this case I have a Saberforge Apprentice hilt in my left hand and a Ultrasabers Liberator in my right hand. Now both sabers are, in terms of the philosophy of said companies, very closely intertwined. They both are made for dueling. These sabers are made for dueling. They're simpler designs. They cost less in general. Both the US Liberator and the Saberforge Heretic, they're on the lower tiers of said companies. Now there's of course a massive price difference, which I'm gonna go into in a moment, but it's for most importantly to understand that both companies, Ultrasabers and Saberforge, advertise their products for heavy dueling, and that's is where I'm gonna take it off from. Now Saberforge also advertise their sabers as being the brightest on the market. They use quad-cree LEDs, and I already had some predict on that a while ago in several of my videos, what I like about them, what I don't like about them. If you want to know more about that, check the individual Saberforge saber reviews, then you can find more details on that. But what was really interesting about these two saber companies is their strategy, the marketing strategy. For example, the Ultrasabers in my left hand or right hand from you is actually the cheapest one of the two in this specific scenario. For example, Ultrasabers has something that Saberforge doesn't really have on a permanent basis, and those are called grabbacks. For example, this saber could drop in a grabback. So you buy a grabback, $55, you potentially get this hilt. Let's say you get this hilt with the same configuration. You have your royal blue LED, you have your 4x AAA battery pack inside. It does not come with a blade, but $55 US, you get this whole thing here. This is what all you see here is what you get, $55. I think it's a super deal. And then for $75 at Saberforge you can get this empty saber. Till recently this was the cheapest option, $75. There's a cheaper version now, which is the showdown version, which I believe is an 8-inch hilt, which costs you $60. But those are quite tiny. Those are more for children or an offhand weapon. So in this case, for heavy dueling, I always think at least 1/2-hander to 2-hander for heavy dueling. That is more in my perception what a heavy dueler hilt is. For you it might be different. For you it might be showdown hilts. Either way, $75 for just the empty hilts, no electronics. If you add electronics to it, let's say a warrior tier, which basically is a stun setup, you need to add another $100. So this saber here runs me $175. What's included? A blade. I can choose between the 3 different lengths, 37, 32 or 28-inch. So you have some options there, and basically that's it. And you choose your LED color. It comes with an 18650 battery, and it comes with a charger. So that's actually quite a complete set. It also comes with a cover tech wheel. So for $175, done deal. You have this apprentice hilt in a warrior tier. Now for $55 you get from Ultrasabers this stun setup. So you get a LED, you get a latching switch with a guarded plastic piece around it, and as I said, the 4 AAA battery setup. No cover tech wheel, you need to pay extra for it. Do you want to have a blade with the saber, you need to pay another $15. So it adds up, yes. So realistically, if this will be your first saber and you're gonna make a purchase from either Saberforge or Ultrasabers, and you're looking at who is the most, who's the cheapest, I would say Ultrasabers grabback, and then just add some more features. For example, you start with the $55, add that $15 blade, and so that makes you $65-70. A cover tech wheel is not really a must if we just look it from the point of view of heavy dueling. For heavy dueling, both these sabers don't really need a cover tech wheel unless you want to do cosplay with it or open carry, like carry it outside, outdoors. Then the cover tech is nice. But if you're going for the heavy dueling or dueling with your friends, your brother, sister, whatever, that cover tech wheel can be in the way. So for those aspects, I'd rather have my hilts without a cover tech wheel, because I grip it everywhere and feels more comfortable than gripping a saber that has a cover tech wheel, because it does get a little bit in the way at sometimes. It does just is there. And if you choose, for example, a D-ring, both these sabers don't really have that as a standard option, but let's say you would install a D-ring on it, it clangs a lot. Not sure if that's ideal for heavy dueling as well, if you want that. But then again, sure, your own option. But yeah, so if you add the blade and chains, I would say go for the metal switch. Don't go for this plastic guarded switch that you get as a standard option. I believe that's another $10. So let's say $80. For $80 you have a saber, whip blade, and a proper switch, and versus the $175. So you can see it's gonna almost save you $100 over the Saberforge. So this would be much cheaper. For that $100 you could almost get 2 more grab bags. Or you can simply go for 3 grab bags without the blade. Then you have 3 different hilts with electronics versus 1 Saberforge apprentice saber. Because this is not an elite saber, guys. The elite sabers is even more expensive. Now, that is of course with the basic models that drop in either a grab bag. Because with Ultrasabers, getting the high-end hilts from a grab bag does not often happen. That chance is quite slim, to be honest. So I wouldn't bet my chances on it. Be more moderate. Think, okay, a grab bag from Ultrasabers gonna on average drop me in hilt that's between the 30 to 50 to 60 US dollar range. And in this case, let's say the Liberator runs you at $75 for an empty on the official site. I would say just take your chances in any given time. Just buy grab bags. It's the excitement, it's the fun, and basically let fate decide what you get, what color LED you get, what is the hilt design, and I'll tell you guys, these grab bag sabers are fantastic. Very little to no damage on these sabers, so it's not like you're gonna get like an all scruffy saber from Ultrasabers. No way, it's fantastic. I really like the grab bags. It's really the excitement as well. You have no idea what you're gonna get, and when you unpack it, it's just fantastic. So the price of both sabers are now an important factor. The Ultrasabers wins it from every angle in terms of the pricing, because Saberforge does not have anything equally in that price range. That's just a fact. Now there are some cons as well, because at that low price there's some sacrifices. So this hilt does not have a vented pommel. This hilt has a battery pack with 4 individual batteries. I don't like the design. It's very brittle and it's finicky. For me personally, it keeps breaking. It might never happen for you, but for me, I don't like it. One thing that also is different is the Ultrasabers do not have a retention screw for the LED. So the LED is free floating, and Saberforge has a retention screw for both blades and LED unit, where the Ultrasabers only have a retention screw for the blade. One benefit from the perspective of having the free float LED is that the socket of the blade is very deep on an Ultrasabers, most often and 1/2 to 1 inch deeper than on a Saberforge. So for heavy dueling, I prefer a deep socket, because it really helps to keep that blade in more tight, and also helps a little bit to mitigate the wobble of, like, when a hard impact, the blade is warping a little bit less, I feel personally. So that's a big difference. So you just have to keep in mind, with $55 from Ultrasabers and grab bag, you have to make some concessions. you can upgrade the saber. There's a lot of options from Ultrasabers to upgrade it. You can definitely do that and bring it to a much higher standard if you want to. And if you just want to have some sabers or collect a whole bunch of them, grabbacks are the way to go. Now, this video is not to bash either company. It's just to show the philosophy from both companies, where Saberforge is a little bit higher in the market, but they want to give you a complete setup. So either a complete stun setup or a complete sound setup, and then you have to think about the champion tier or the hero tier. Or of course you can buy an empty if you're a do-yourself guy. Now, Ultrasabers have exactly the same, but Ultrasabers give you a lot more different options. You can individually choose a different activation button, different LED. Do you want to have the standard LED, which I believe is a 6-watt LED, or do you want to have a tri-cree LED? Do you want to have a soundboard installed? Do you want to have a different pommel? You can mix max that, and you can choose that from the start. That is something that Saberforge does not have, if we not take in consideration ASP system, which is a different tech or different department basically of Saberforge sabers, which you don't really have as an option when you buy, for example, a complete elite saber or a complete, in this case, apprentice saber. So the philosophy is there a little bit different, where Ultrasabers have at any given time a ton more options, and Saberforge streamlined those options a little bit more, so you have less options. It makes it a little bit easier just to pick what you need. Where with Ultrasabers sometimes you have like these things like what kind of resistor you want, like what kind of puck buck and the puck buck resistor and whatnot. And if you don't know anything about electronics or new to it, you're like, wow, that's overwhelming. I have no idea what I should choose. What kind of battery should I choose? What is the charger do I need to choose? Why there's like 5 different chargers? That's a little bit different. Like Ultrasabers give you all that flexibility, but it's sometimes a little bit overwhelming and sometimes a little bit too much. I do like the base. So this is the most basic standard configuration. And it's basically to undercut the market. Come with the most affordable lightsaber, $55 US. You have your lightsaber in your hands. That is a very different mindset from Saberforge, where they say no, our price range start at this and this range. It's either an empty hilt or you have a warrior tier. That's it. There's no different LED there's no more 6-watt LED. There's only quad-cree LED. There's no different battery setup. You just choose the LED color, you choose your blade color, and that's it. And of course the finish of the hilt. And that's also different, where Saberforge is more of the aesthetics. Saberforge is, despite the advertisement is heavy dueling from both hilts, for both companies, and Saberforge also advertising heavily on brightness, I think for Saberforge they mainly are, their main focus is on the aesthetics of the hilts. They have so many different finishes, black, standard, so many different. Where it's funny is where Ultrasabers have a lot of options to outfit your hilt internally with different electronics, etc., different pommel, but the actual finish of the hilt itself is either silver, black, or LE with the silver stripes or the gold stripes. That's it. There's no weathered version option. There's no leather gripping options. There is no there are no crystal review options. There are certain hilts with or without the window emitter, but I feel in terms of the actual hilt itself, Saberforge has more options, but Ultrasabers has more options to actually customize what goes into the hilt. So I think that's a really big difference. Is your focus on the first primary thing is, of course, how much money you have in your wallet and how much are you willing to spend, most importantly. Secondly is, once you find a hilt that you like a hilt design, and maybe it's not for you the hilt design, maybe it's just for you form function, it's for dueling, I need a functional saber. I think then your Ultrasabers is a good fit, because so many of their sabers are more plain They're more plain, but they're just ergonomically so well made for dueling. That is what Emery had in mind. Where Saberforge, Phil slash Saberforge, of course, is more on, we want this saber to look like it come out of the old Republic, or we want this saber to be like a Shoko Tano's hilt, or this hilt, or that hilt. Of course, Ultrasabers has as well, but Saberforge adds all that extra flair to it, and I really like it. I also feel these kind of hilts, not the apprentice hilt, but the elite hilts are more. They're more like shelf queens, cosplay pieces. Most of the time, not really for heavy dueling. Where Ultrasabers has just this philosophy, like all our sabers are for heavy dueling. The high end, the low end, they're all made for heavy dueling. And that transpires in hilts having certain dimensions, certain thickness, certain lengths, certain sizes. Because for heavy dueling, that is, from an Ultrasaber's perspective, the ideal length. And most of the audience like the length, the thickness, and the dimensions of the hilt. Where Saberforge is a little bit in between, so the hilt sizes in general are slightly smaller, but then again they have a lot of different elements that are sometimes glued in, they're threaded, so it is a lot more, there are more individual parts to it, and if you look at it from a heavy dueling perspective, that might not be ideal. So it's really interesting that both companies have their own vision on what their products are. And as I said, like when you buy this stunt saber from Saberforge, this is a warrior tier, even the pommel is vented for sound. So this saber as it is could later be gutted. I can install Nano Biscotti version 4 or whatnot and make it a sound enabled saber. So I have that leverage, that hilt is complete. That is the philosophy from Saberforge, I personally think, with their standard non-ASP elite and apprentice sabers. Whereas Ultrasabers, it's always about customizing the electronics. Like for example, over time you're not happy with the electronics. It's not plug and play though, but you could get electronics for Saberforge as well. Install it, but you need to get a different pommel, or you need to purchase from the start, and that is what Ultrasabers does good. So they start very low at $55 US, but of course that is a little bit the hidden cost. As soon as you start adding stuff, like for example this grab bag, oh, I need a blade as well because I would like to duel. Well, another 15 bucks. Oh, this plastic guarded switch, yeah, well, these break quite easily. Not only for me, not maybe for you. Let's replace for an alloy one. Oh, I see this pommel. Actually, I don't like this one. This one is not vented for sound. Well, let's add one that has sound fans in it. Maybe in the future I want to do something with it. Oh, these have 4 AA battery packs. Let me just put an 18650 battery setup in there. So yeah, the price will increase significantly by the amount of changes you make from the stock standard bottom pricing. And with Saberforge, that deviates less. It deviates less because you have a tier. It's either that tier or that tier, and that's the price you pay. Within that price pay, you can have some limited options, and that's it. And I personally like that. It makes it easier for me to pick and choose whatever saber I want. I just pick the finish. I like the hilt design, LED color, blade length, and then that's it. I pay for the saber in that price bracket. So it's just interesting how these companies work and how they are quite different in their philosophy, and that also really reflect in the buyers. Like, what are the buyers looking for? Like, what they want, why they want it. And the problem is, it's really hard at times to make an understanding. Like, if you have a very nice Saberforge saber, now not that taste is of course for everybody different. Let's say I personally really think I like this hilt design. So let's say I really think this is a beautiful saber, and then offset it to this one. For me personally, there's nothing to it. There's nothing interesting going on this hilt. But what I'm doing with it, what is it what I want to do with it? Do I want to have a duel with it? Do I want to cosplay with it? Do I want to have it carrying with me as day in, day out? Also, how many sabers do I want to have? Do I just want to have one saber? And if I want to have one saber, is it the saber that need to do everything? Cosplay, dueling, everything? Spinning? Or will I have multiple sabers? And what kind of sabers do I want? Do I want to have shelf queens? Do I want to have duelers? Or just collect a whole bunch of these ones? Because in the end it also comes down, as I said, how much money is in your wallet and you're willing to spend on these products, because these are still hobby items. They're not necessary in the day-to-day life, you know, and they can be very expensive. So it's a very interesting market, and the strategy behind the mindsets of both companies, how they want to portray their products and what is the segment they want to serve. And I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think that is something we need to more and more often talk more about the company's philosophy versus the individual products, because then we are just missing some of the key points here, I think. And I think I narrowed down both Ultrasabers and Saberforge quite well. But let me know in the comments what you think about it, and what you think is the actual underlying power and philosophy of said companies. What is Saberforge strength and weaknesses, and Ultrasaber strength and weakness, in terms of what they should be doing from your perspective? Like, should they be for heavy dueling? Should they be able to do everything with it? Do you want to customize your own lightsabers and you want to have as blank canvas as possible? You wanna inspire. You wanna like have a rock and you wanna cut out a nice engraving or a nice figure. Where with the Ultrasabers that's perfect. With a Saberforge it's already quite done for you, so you already have a complete, a pretty looking saber. So if you say I want to customize, and that's really important for me to make that saber my own, because I need to have it, it needs to be bound to me. It's my saber, and it just has to be my design. Then these kind of Ultrasabers are a better pick for you. And that's very interesting, because it really comes down like the finishes of the hilt, etc., and they're all done on purpose. Those companies do something on purpose because they want to service a certain market. Now, I hope you liked this video, and I really would like to have your feedback on this. And next time we do another versus video, and sometimes we again we will have versus videos just on hilt versus hilt, and then just do an ergonomic, more apples to apples, like, oh, this hilt is more comfortable for dueling from my perspective, or this hilt is better for spinning, or this hilt is better for I don't know, stabbing, slashes, or long strikes, or whatever. Just keep it engaged and fun. So I hope you liked the video, and see you in the next one. Stay scummy! Please subscribe for more weekly videos, follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, sponsor the channel at our Patreon page. Stay scummy!